Hey YouTube, Josh here with Big Guy Auto. We're getting ready to do a fuel pump on a 2003 Ford F-150. And what we're going to be doing is dropping the tank down and replacing that pump because it is completely dead. It is not sending any fuel up front. It's got power, it's got ground. It does not pump at all. And so we're going to be doing that. Now, before I get into the comments and people start saying, "Ooh, Josh, why didn't you just remove the bed? It's so much easier that way," because there's always that one guy comes into the shop and says, "Well, that's what I would do." The fuel pump is underneath the cab, okay? It's underneath the cab, not the bed. It's underneath the cab, all right? So I want to make that extremely clear. This is literally the only way you can replace the fuel pump on this truck unless you're going to take the entire cab off, which I wouldn't recommend, okay? And so that's what we're going to be doing. Hope you enjoy. Let's get to it. Ford F-150 got a fuel pump out. We got to take this tank down to drop it. So what we're going to do, take this drive shaft out because I'm a big guy and I need more room up there at the top. Okay, drive shaft has these 12-point bolts on them. They're 12 millimeter. Take them out, and then it should pop off with a little prying. You have to get a pry bar, pop it off, and then it'll slide right out. Okay, here we go. And that's why you use two hands, kids. Pops right down. And then this thing will slide it right out. Like that. Unplug the fuel pump, and actually on this model, the plug is over here next to the frame, and then it runs on top of the tank all the way over to the pump. And so you can disconnect it right here, and should the rest of it just drop with the pump. Okay, so now we're on top of the tank. Now we got that drive shaft out of the way, and we're going to go after this fuel line clip. You can see where it kind of notches in there, and we got another one a little further back. We're going to have to go out there and get this one should pop up and then slide right off. There's not enough room for me to keep the camera in there while I take it apart, so next video will be with it apart. Okay, so we got the hoses on top disconnected. That one's still connected. We're probably gonna have to drop the tank before I can get my hand up in there, but I will tell you a trick I did is I loosened up these 13 millimeter bolts so that my big old hand could fit up there and get those hoses disconnected. So that helped out a lot. So just loosened up the two of them. Don't take them all the way out. They are pretty long bolts, so you should be able to drop it an inch or two and get yourself plenty of room. So yeah. Okay, next is to get these two clamps loose and start working that rubber a little loose because it will be kind of sealed and stuck. I already got the clip off of that little hose there and it was super rusty, so probably gonna have to replace that clip, and we'll work on this one. And it looks like I might have to replace that clip too, but yeah, let's get these loose and be getting closer to dropping it down. Okay, so we got the drain hoses loose. That is broken loose. It's such a stiff hose, I can't get it to come all the way off. It'll slide off once I start dropping it. So next, get it supported and drop her on down. Okay, so we got the tank supported and the straps are loose, and actually they just kind of hook up in there, and so you'll get them all the way out of your way so you're not fighting them, and we'll start lowering this thing. Whew, got it out. This hose, there was two hoses we couldn't see up there. One right here, or actually, sorry, right here. We had to actually lower the tank a little bit to get enough room to get in here and get the clamp off. We did have one hose break just because it's so dry rotted and messed up. You know, see, and look what it's doing to my fingers there. So we'll have to get a new hose there. There was also another electrical connection, and we had to drop the tank down about a foot to get enough room in there to do it. But we'll get a new hose here and we'll start messing with this, our new fuel pump, and get our new fuel pump in. Clean off the debris. What'd I say? Two hands. Not one. Two. Makes mechanic work so much easier. Okay, pry it up. Alright, there's the old one. We'll get the new one, put it in. Okay, just put the bolts back in, snug her up. Okay, so we got the new hose that broke. Now we got a new one there. And we'll attach it to the tank once we lift it up. But the tank is ready to go. So we'll put it back on the jack and put it back in place. All right, so we got it on the jack. And it's my experience, you just start connecting things as you go up. Makes it a lot easier once you get it all the way up to the top. So we got it plugged in, our electrical connections, and we'll get it a little higher and get those hoses connected. Okay, so we're continuing with connecting our hoses. Okay, still gotta go a little bit higher to get that one on, but I want to show you guys the filler hose and the breather hose clips were pretty roached. Okay, and mainly the screwing mechanism right here is pretty messed up. You see it coming off in my hands. So basically, it's, you know, not a good clip. I'm going to replace it along with the filler neck hose. And go ahead and replace it. It was in a little bit better condition, but still on its way. So we're gonna go ahead and put a new one on there. Okay, so that hose attached. Got our new hose attached. Now you're gonna have to be careful and make sure this doesn't get pinched in between your frame, your power cord, power supply to the pump. You need to make sure it's over here. It's supposed to have a clip, but it incinerated on me when I took it apart. It was extremely dry rotted, so we'll have to make sure it's zip tied or find a new clip to hold it up there. But make sure you don't pinch it. It will cut the wires. And then a little bit further and we'll be able to get our filler neck and breather hose on. Okay, I went ahead and put my straps on because I was having difficulty manipulating this hose without the whole thing just keep shoving over on me. And so what we did is, just like when we were taking the fuel lines off, I just barely started those bolts just enough to support the weight of the tank. And we'll get those filler neck and the breather hose on, and then we'll go on top and finish up. So I got my hoses pretty much lined up. There's not enough slack to go ahead and put them in, so we're gonna have to lift this all the way up. So first, we're gonna go on up here and get these fuel lines attached before we tighten these strap bolts up. So we'll go ahead and get those on, then we'll tighten these up and get our filler neck and breather hose on. So got the fuel lines on, and we'll tighten our strap bolts up and get the filler neck on. the filler hose and the breather hose now attached. Everything's buttoned up. All we have to do is put that drive shaft back in. Now remember, it's pretty good practice to mark your drive shafts. Not all of them need it, but it's just a good habit to get into because some of them do have weights and they're balanced and they have to realign back. So I do have marks on my drive shaft. You saw the pictures. We'll get those lined up, get that button back up, and then we'll see if it starts. Okay, so you can barely see the mark that I have there on the camera. It's a lot easier to see without the camera, but line your marks up and then you tighten your bolts up. Okay, and then we see if it's okay. So after you get your fuel pump in, make sure your battery's good and charged, and then you're gonna prime it by doing this. Turn your key on 3 times. This primes your fuel lines, and then there you go, running like a charm. And that, my friends, is how you do a fuel pump.